So speaking of the track, we linked up with Yamaha Champ School. They were doing a Yamaha Demo day at the track, which was awesome.
Amazing.
It was so cool.
I don't know any other manufacturer doing that.
That's so cool.
You know what? I think Ducati does do that.
They do.
But you need to go through some paperwork to get
Probably,
it.
yeah. The paperwork. What was the paperwork there? A piece of like, it wasn't even a notebook. It was like the cardboard behind a notebook, and it was like, here's the schedule.
Put your initials. Put your initials where you want to ride.
Put your initials there where you want to ride. And we were like, okay, cool.
I was like, do you like these? Like, you can put your license if you want. Like,
they were the most easygoing guys.
Yeah, no, they were great.
They were so to the point where I let Steve take the double R out while I took the R6 out.
Tell you right now, this guy's nuts because I would not have. I get it. These guys are professionals.
These guys are professionals.
But it's still my baby. You know, it's still like my bike. You know,
I was
like, oh man, you really going out there letting this guy ride it. But I mean, he was good on it.
Well, good. Hey, he turned on that GoPro.
Blew by me.
It was incredible. When I'm looking at the footage of,
I haven't seen it.
It's like warp speed. I'm like, I was like,
it's funny. When we got off, I go, man, you were flying up there. He's like, yeah, I was taking it easy. That's what he said to me. He's like, I was taking it pretty easy. You what?
Yeah.
Because you were flying, dude. I can only imagine.
But you know, and I'll cut to his thoughts and everything. Yeah. So, but then I rode the R6.
That little bit.
And I was flying on that little thing.
Yeah, you were.
I don't think I've ever passed people on the track. I passed probably about like 5 or 6 people on that freaking thing. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. A little cramped, and I was already tired, you know, in general, but that thing moved. That thing was, you know, obviously lacking power or whatever, but pointing it in, getting around the turn, I was getting on the throttle real hard, real early and hard. Yeah. It was great. It needs a quick shifter. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It needs a quick shifter.
No, see, that's because you're just used to it. Now you're like, that's not the thing. Like I've never had a quick shifter, and I keep forgetting. Oh, the R1, the quick shifter, not it. I don't like it.
Not it. So, all right. So let's talk about the R1. How did you like it?
I actually was surprised by how nice it was. I was like, whatever. Like I don't ride 1000s. It didn't feel like a 1000 sitting on it. Like it felt slimmer. It felt more like my 750 in a way. Like kind of like proportion wise. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel as big. It was nice though. It was really nice. I gotta say, I did like it. It was just, the position of the body felt good for me. Turning felt great. I hated the engine brake on it. I disliked the engine brake on it for whatever reason. It felt like it was so intrusive, and I can't tune the engine brake on my Suzuki, and it didn't feel like I let off. I get it. I've been riding it a bunch, so I know how it's gonna react. But if I let off, it doesn't feel like it's gonna throw me. It doesn't feel like I'm grabbing a handful of brakes, and that's kind of what it felt like on R1.
Yeah, I think you can probably adjust all of that.
I'm sure you can.
Like, just like any of the higher end sports bikes.
I get it. That bike is like their demo bike.
Yeah, and they set it up the way they throw it up, and that's what
It was really nice. I gotta say.
Well, I love how the battery died, but right on time. So I think where it left off is the suspension. If you dialed in the suspension on that R6.
Quick shifter on it.
Yeah, quick shifter. Even without the quick shifter, and obviously adjust the foot pegs because like my foot was getting stuck in the shifter and stuff whatever. That thing would be a beast on that track. Or will be a beast on that track because everybody was flying 650s and 750s there on that track, and I liked it. I mean, I know it's a very popular platform to race on, the Yamis. So I know they have the R7. I just wanted the R6 primarily because if I did get a track bike, a dedicated track bike, probably be an R6. Mm-hmm. Just because of the, kind of the availability of the aftermarket and things like that. So.
It's proven. You know what? A lot of people use it. If you go through the forums and you go through what people's using. As a matter of fact, remind me, I'll send you a link. There's like a race. There's a forum that have like race time slots, and they'll show you like what bike they're on, the track that we're on, the times that they hit. And R6, for the most part, is up there.
Yeah.
Almost all the time.
Right.
Almost on every track too.
Right.
So, I mean, I always say when there's enough people doing it and using it and it's proven, I think it's probably a good solid. I get it, every ride is going to be different. I really love my 750. But if there's enough people using that platform and it's working well, something's got to be right on it.
Right, absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree with you. I think you should go down that route. And again, if you can't find it, I think another, the Kawi CX6R is another good option.
Yeah,
I think you might fit well on that bike too. It's kind of like, it might suit you for your personality and who you are. But the R6 is definitely it. Like, it's really nice. Like, I think it's perfect. And when you go from those big boys to that,
I was like,
you can just throw it around.
I was, and in the footage you even see, like, I'm like, where's the rest of it? I'm like, and when we were dialing in the suspension here for your track bike, I took it out around the block here, or around the neighborhood rather, and I'm like, I make a turn, and I'm like, huh? Where's the rest of the bike? I'm like, no, where's the rest of the bike? It's like, there's supposed to be tank here, and there's no tank. It's so definitely an adjustment, but I'm starting to see why, you know, everybody's like, oh, get a smaller bike for the track, get a smaller bike. And I get it, I totally get it, but there's something about just like handling 1,000cc monster.
The thing is, like, at some point, like, the tracks that we have in our neighborhood, like in our area that we can go to readily available, with the exception of like the Jersey one, the 1000s just they're not that great for them.
They're not great.
Like, we don't have gigantic tracks at 1000. And I get it, we're never gonna ride these bikes to the limits because we're not professionals. We can't do it every weekend. Like, you know, if we were riding every weekend consistently, we'd probably do pretty well. But these 1000s, like, you're always gonna use the power to get you out of situations. It's just gonna happen. You're gonna mess up the turn, and you're gonna get a handful of throttle. You're gonna get right back on it, and you're gonna catch up to the rest of the people. With a 600, you gotta be very nimble. You gotta be very precise. You gotta understand what the bike is doing, where you're going, the track, the lines, you know, throttle, brake. There's a lot more. You become a better rider on those smaller bikes. And I think you would, again, the tracks here lend themselves to have a 600. And then I think at some point, if you really do become competitive and you want to get out there and start racing, the 600 classes are like, there's many different riding levels when you go into racing, right? You got the amateurs, you got the beginners, right? With the 600s, it's a very competitive class, right? And you can get yourself mid-pack to upper pack pretty quickly, versus the 1000s. Those guys are animals. I'm telling you, I've seen them. We unfortunately, I thought we were gonna see them in Loudon when we went. The weather wasn't that great, but when I went the last time to Loudon, and that's the real official racetrack, like, in our area, dude, those 1000 people were nuts. Like, just insane. I was like, I couldn't even imagine doing what they were doing on those big old bikes. So like I think you'd be more towards the bottom end for a while on those, versus the 600. Tires are cheaper, they last longer, parts are everywhere.
Exactly.
You know, it's like it's just much easier.
The barrier of entry is a lot easier. It's easier. I mean, we all know track riding, going to the track, it's expensive to begin with, but it's not as expensive because just the readily available parts and the readily available